I realize that today there is a tremendous amount of news that has almost nothing to do with Tesla, except to the extent that, of course, any business is impacted by the kind of news that's going on right now. So we have the shooting in Minnesota, we have the parade in Washington, D.C., we have the No Kings Day. What a stupid idea. And the old people, older than me, some younger than me, that are out there, which is basically who's out there protesting. And their last time, maybe as a protester, they started as I could have, but didn't, back in the 60s, protesting the Vietnam War and posting actually free speech was a big deal on the campuses at that point. And no, I sat all that out, but I'm sitting all this one out too. But it's probably friends of mine who I grew up with who are out there still protesting this one last time that they can go out, carry a sign. I'm kind of surprised they're not putting on, hippie outfits in order to do it. Anyway, but we got that. We got the Iran war situation with Israel. I'm probably going to report on all of that at the 5 o'clock hour. I'll come back when the day is over and we've really had a chance to evaluate how it is that Tim Walz's appointee was responsible for killing these Minnesota Democrats. I'll talk more about that. I'll talk more about, how's Israel doing against Iran, and is it kind of all over except for the crazy stuff that Israel still has in their kit bag, which they said they've still got some tricks that they're going to pull, which will be even more interesting than they've already done. And what will happen with the parade? Will there be any incidences? Will there be a mass event, some kind of a mass terrorism event in Philadelphia, as has been reporting by some individuals? All of this is happening today, and I'll come back to it tonight. But for now, I want to talk about the thing that has been on our minds for a week at least, actually for months and years, but is coming to a head. We're right in the middle of it here. On the 10th, of course, Elon Musk announced that we had pictures of cars being driven around Austin in a test mode without a driver. We had information from the city of Austin that this was officially happening with Tesla. Then yesterday we had new information out of Austin saying that Tesla was now able to take rides. They could take paid rides, and not just in the city of Austin, which is Waymo's territory, but in the entire Austin metro area, a much larger area. So that is apparently, in anticipation of next week, when this will become, a week from tomorrow, the 22nd, all things going smoothly, a week from tomorrow, we'll get this rollout of the beginning of paid rides. I've speculated that may not be open to the public quite on the 22nd. It might be invitation only, etc. We'll see what happens over the course of the next 8 days as we get closer to that introduction. Now, the key is, though, it's not about really, I mean, it is about no accidents. It is about rolling this out without any kind of problems. It is rolling it out with people saying they're getting a good experience. I think all those things are going to be true. I don't think Elon would be doing this right now if he wasn't real confident that the cars would be accident free and not getting into too many jams. But we'll see what happens on that score as well. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And as a business, it needs to be the best it can be. And so there's some criteria in this particular case that might be worth looking at. And in particular, I'm going to look at the cost per mile as the main subject today. But before I get there, I thought this was interesting from Whole Mars. He says there was this report out yesterday that listed the top complaints of people that are using the current ride-hail systems, not really taxi cabs, but the modern ones, the Uber, Lyft, and Waymo, and other things like Waymo. So the biggest issue with rideshare right now is price. So the price is too high. Literally over two-thirds of people that are using those services believe that it's way too expensive. And I saw some numbers this morning. CERN Basher put out some numbers where he was reporting from this report as well, where you could pay up to $40 for the first mile under certain circumstances in an Uber. That's never happened to me. I just took a very short ride in an Uber in Kauai the other day, and it wasn't anywhere close to that amount of money. Anyway, but there's all kinds of issues with regard to what it's costing per mile. But Waymo is charging more. We know that. But the number one issue for people is price. And we already know from all kinds of reporting that as the price comes down, oh, yeah, this is economics 101. As the price comes down, then the usage will go up. And Uber has done their own reporting on this, and they've done some analysis. They believe as the price approaches $1, it was something on the order of 20 times the TAM that they have now. Elon Musk has suggested that the price of Tesla robotaxis in the United States might eventually get down to as low as 30 cents. And I've already said multiple times that I can't imagine anybody taking a vehicle, anybody owning a vehicle, taking their own vehicle anywhere, even if they own the vehicle, they would just leave it in the garage for 30 cents a mile. It's like half what it cost you to take your own car. So number two in the list, the second most difficult problem is the wait times are too long. Well, Tesla will have the capacity to put massive amounts of vehicles into service, so the wait time should come down. Now, quite frankly, the numbers we saw on this report with regard to Uber were that Uber was really doing a pretty good job on that they were averaging like 2 to 6 minutes, 2 to 7 minutes, something like that. And that's been my experience, is that most of the time, and I haven't taken a ton of Uber, but my experience in the maybe 20 rides I've taken in the last year would be, on that order, 2 to 20 minutes. I'm sorry, 2 to 7 minutes. I haven't taken the other one, so I can't tell you. The third most important, but Tesla will solve this problem. They'll be Johnny on the spot. Number three would be safety. Well, we know that Teslas are already the safest vehicles. We know that when you take away the human element, you dramatically drop the safety issues. If you've taken any kind of a car, any kind of an Uber, any kind of anything else, you know that the Uber drivers and the taxi drivers make mistakes and do stupid things and take their eye off the road and are distracted by their devices and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not to mention the kind of things I've talked about on the show, like my Italian driver driving up on the center divider in order to pass cars in the rain, things like that. Or another driver in London going over 100 miles an hour on the way to the airport, Anyway, the third problem is, and of course, you take the driver out of the car, you eliminate all that. Plus, you already have a device that is dramatically more it already probably is, but will be safer than humans. The number three thing was drivers cancel on me too often. That will never happen with a Tesla, with the robotaxis. I have to download too many apps. Well, that's your choice. I don't know how you eliminate that problem. But most people would just take, well, I'm just going to stick with my Tesla app. There's not enough competition. Yeah, that might be really true in the future. It might only be Tesla. Anyway, there's not enough green rides. Well, Tesla, of course, is a green ride. And then finally, not enough driverless cars. Well, Tesla will be a driverless car. So almost, I would say, out of those 7 or 8, whatever it is, I didn't add it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of those 8 complaints, Tesla will take care of about 6 of them without even thinking about it. Okay, so we were to look at this price per mile. Okay, some people have. I want to say it was Goldman Sachs. It was one of the folks like Goldman Sachs put out a report a week ago saying that Teslas would be costing Tesla $1.25 a mile. There's no way. If you take the driver out, there's no way it's going to be $1.25 a mile. I've done some reporting on this in the past, but I decided that I was going to use Grok. Of course I was. So I have Grok doing the analysis today. Now I'm going to superimpose my analysis on top of Grok as we go along, but let's just take a look at what Grok has to say. So vehicle cost, Tesla's Cybercab robotaxi is projected to cost under 30,000, with some estimates suggesting $25,000 for manufacturing. All right. So right now, Model 3 is probably costing them under 25,000 or around 25,000 for manufacturing. Model Ys are probably maybe in the low 30s. I don't know. I'm just trying to guess that the version that they'll put out there for this purpose, probably in the low 30s. So this number is probably about right. However, when they come out with the actual Cybercab next year, that's going to be half. So when we get down to the analysis of what it's going to cost per mile when they're looking at vehicle cost, we're going to take a look at both that and in half. Annual mileage. Robotaxis are expected to drive 70,000 miles a year based on high utilization taxi operations. I think that's a good number. I've seen 60, I've seen 90, I've seen 100. I think the 70,000 mile is a fine conservative number. Lifespan. Assume a 5-year operational life of 400,000 miles. Now, 5 years times 70 would be 350,000 miles. I think that's an aggressive number. I think a 200,000, 175 to 200,000 might be more in line with reality. But at that 175 or 200,000, there might be a useful sell price at the end, where if in fact, if they're able to keep on the road for 400,000 miles, I think you could probably scrap it or just recycle it. Utilization, 60% of miles are revenue generating and 40% are deadheading. I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. Location, costs are modeled for a U.S. urban market with no specific regional adjustments unless noted. Accounting practices, standard accrual accounting, amortizing capital costs, and including operating expenses, electricity, maintenance, insurance, cleaning, network operations, and overhead, and it excludes taxes or regulatory fees unless specified. All right, I think that's all fair. Cost breakdown. Below is a detailed breakdown of cost per mile. Number one, depreciation. So they're going to use 25,000 per Cybercab, 5 years, 400,000 miles, annual depreciation, 25,000 divided by 5, $25,000 divided by 5 is 5,000 per year per mile. 5,000 divided by 70,000 miles gives us 7 cents a mile. So I'm going to say that their number on the miles is double too high, and their number on the cost per Cybercab starting next year is double too low. So I'm going to just say we might be able to see something. We might be able to get down as low as 5 cents a mile, or it might be 10 cents a mile. So let's say that the 7 cents a mile is probably fair. So we're going to keep that. We say fair. Electricity consumption. Cybercab is estimated at 5.5 miles per kilowatt. The cost per kilowatt, U.S. commercial electricity averages 12 cents a kilowatt for public charging, and public charging may be higher, but using 20 cents a kilowatt for conservatism. So I think this is way too high, because I think Tesla themselves, for their fleet, will primarily be using their own facilities for this, whether that is the Tesla charging locations, whether that is Tesla service centers, other Tesla-owned properties is where they'll be charging it, and they will not be paying the 12 cents a kilowatt, much less 20 cents a kilowatt. So I'm going to say that this cost per high is maybe what the Robotaxi Airbnb number could come in at, but it's going to be less than this for Tesla's fleet, especially if Tesla starts to put in solar and batteries in order to be basically free. Anyway, what this works out to, though, is only 3.5 cents a mile. And so I'm going to take that. I'm going to be okay with that number for this purpose, but understand that it could be lower. Maintenance and repairs. Estimate EVs have lower maintenance costs than ICE vehicles, but high utilization and urban driver experience. So you get the tires, brakes, not so much. Suspension, sure, maybe. Assume 5 cents a mile based on Tesla Model 3 estimates and Robotaxi projections. So 5 cents a mile seems to me to be very high, extremely high. You're talking about almost the same as the cost on depreciation. I don't think so. So I think it's going to be lower than that, especially because Tesla, especially on their fleet cars, will be doing it at cost. They'll be buying the tires at cost, at wholesale. They'll be buying the parts. They make the parts. They'll be using labor at cost, not what they charge $265 an hour when you and I go in there, but these guys are only costing them at the very most, all in, probably $50, $60 an hour. Okay, so 5 cents a mile, that's high. We'll keep it, but it's high. Insurance. So they're saying the annual cost will be $2,000 per year. By the way, our car right now we don't drive anywhere near these kind of miles, but it's costing about $225 a month, about what's that, 2,700 a year. So that's California, and that's right after the increases. So the $2,000 per year might be a good number. Tesla, of course, is likely to use their own insurance and get somebody to underwrite it on a big national program. So if you take the $2,000, divide that by 70,000 miles, that is 3 cents a mile. So I think that's okay. We'll go with that. I think they'll be able to do better. Cleaning. Robotaxis require regular cleaning. Interior and exterior. They're going to assume 2 cents a mile based on Waymo estimates and Tesla projections. So we're going to go with 2 cents a mile. I think that might be a tad high when Tesla is using robots to do it, where they're doing it on their own property. They don't have to lease the property to do it, where they are potentially doing it more efficiently than Waymo and doing it in way more volume. But we'll be okay with that for now. Network and software operations. Well, Tesla's ride-hailing platform is going to incur costs for servers, AI training, mapping, customer support. So they're saying 15% of revenue covers network operations, or 6 cents a mile at a 40 cents a mile charge. So this is going to end up, if it's really 15%, I think that's going to be very, 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 very low, because 40 cents a mile, I think, is crazy. So we're not going to be at 40 cents a mile for a very long time. So if it was $1 a mile at 15%, that'd be 15%. That'd be 15 cents. I think that's absolutely nuts. It's not going to be anywhere close to that. So you know what? Just for giggles, we're going to take their number, because I don't think it'll be any higher than that, and might be a lot lower. Number 7, remote interventions. Okay, so now we're going to have people in the cloud. Okay, we're going to have some kind of a system. In the beginning, there might be multiple people. There might be 1 per 10 or 1 per 5, 1 per 20 cars. I don't know how that's all going to work. But eventually, I think this is going to be almost zero. They will be more like concierge, where a Cadillac has been doing for years, where if the car gets into some kind of trouble, or the person in the car has some kind of medical emergency, or if there is an emergency, there's some kind of a fire and the car is trapped, or there's all kinds of things that can happen where the robot is not able to help them. Grok is not able to help them. Nothing they do in an autonomous way is able to help. They need to have a human that they can reach. So eventually this is going to be very, very, very low. And that's the conclusion Grok came to. They're putting it down at 0 per mile. 0 per mile. So I say it could be a penny a mile. So some of the other things that are too high above, it could be different. By the way, Grok did say cost could be 10 to 20 cents a mile. If they have to have a lot of that kind of overhead, I don't think there's a chance. Okay, what about overhead? Administration, legal, marketing. They're assuming 3 cents a mile. That's fleet management, legal fees, marketing, and this is based on Waymo and Uber estimates. So I think that's okay. All right. I think 3 cents a mile is fair. So the total cost per mile, let's add it up. Depreciation at 7 cents, electricity at 3.5, maintenance at 5. Let's see what I'm saying. That's too high. Insurance at 3, cleaning at 2 cents. These are cents. Network operations at 6, remote interventions at 0, overhead at 3. This is a total of 20.296. Let's just round it up to 30 cents a mile, says Grok. So now Grok says, let's compare this to other people's analysis. Elon Musk says it'll be 20 cents a mile operating at scale, and then a 30 to 40 cent charge to customers. And I'd say that's 10 years away, but it could happen. Ark Invest says 20 cents a mile at scale, with rides costing 30 to 40 cents a mile someday. I think I've seen ARK invest with another number closer to 25 cents, maybe in the near future. Reddit analysis. Reddit thinks it'll be 40 cents to 50 cents a mile for the company-owned robotaxis. And then skeptics, cost could be 68 to a buck a mile. If autonomy is not fully achieved, our vehicle costs are more. So there you go. There's a range from 20 to a dollar. My estimate, Grok's estimate of 30 cents a mile aligns with Musk's and ARK's optimistic projections. It's higher, reflecting conservative assumptions, and it's lower than skeptics' assumptions. So the 30-cent mile seems fair. Key variables and risks. Autonomy success. If FSD requires interventions, costs could rise, of course. Vehicle cost, higher cost. If it's 50,000, it's not going to be. That would push numbers higher. Utilization is the big one in terms of theirs. That could go up a lot if, in fact, the car needs to be changed out at 200,000 or 175,000. But the cost per vehicle is going to be so much lower. That's going to be they're going to make up for that. And then what about the competition? Oh, regulatory costs. Who knows what kinds of things governments might come in and put in terms of regulatory costs. And then competition. Waymo's costs are estimated at somewhere between 50 cents and $2 per mile. Okay, so between 50 cents and $2. That's a pretty big. Okay, let's go back and take a look at the list. Depreciation. Okay, we know that we're at 7 cents based on a lot of miles and a $35,000 car, or $25,000 car. That's right. Waymo's is never going to be below 50. And my guess is never going to be below 65,000. So we're talking about on the order of 5 times as expensive as the 15,000 that the Cybercab is going to cost. But let's use the 25,000 and let's just say it's double. And we know that those Jaguars are not going to do as well as the Teslas are in terms of how many miles they're going to get out of them. So I'm going to say that the depreciation alone is going to be at least double. So let's just add another 7 cents. Electricity, they're not going to be able, they'll probably be able to get a deal, but they're nowhere going to be able to buy as inexpensively as Tesla. So the 3.6 cents, I think, is going to be low for Waymo. We'll leave it alone for now. Maintenance on those Jaguars compared to the Tesla, I think it's going to be a lot higher. Now, maybe they'll get into some other cars and the maintenance will be less, but I think for now, I would just say it's going to be more. Insurance, we know that now Google could put in their own insurance program just like Tesla could. So let's leave that alone as well. Cleaning, the 2 cents is not going to be changed very much depending on what we come up with here. But Tesla is going to be using their own facilities. They're going to be doing it with robotics. Now, again, maybe Google will do all those things too. So long term, they might be able to, get closer. Network operations. Well, this might be a lot to do with scale. It would appear that Tesla is going to have much higher scale. And so network operations is 6 cents. We'll leave that alone. Remote interventions. Well, they already have remote interventions. They don't argue that they don't. And they have people that are sitting there making sure that everything goes well. We also know that they're having quite a few problems, quite a few needs for intervention. So this one is now at 6 cents. I'm going to say that if Tesla is going to be spending 6 cents, they're going to be spending more. So I'm just going to add another 3. So altogether now we're up to 10. Remote interventions, network operations and remote interventions. They have remote interventions at 0. That's where I'm adding my 3 cents. Overhead, I'm going to say that Tesla is way better at overhead than Google. And so I'm going to add another penny there. So their number that they came up was 30. I'm going to say that the number for Waymo is going to be at least 11 cents more. Whatever it turns out to be, Waymo will be at least 11 cents more. Now that is, significant. And so therefore, if we really get into a price war, and Elon is right that, 10 years from now, Tesla is selling rides for 30 cents and Waymo's cost is 30 cents. They're not going to be able to survive very long if there's really a run to the bottom. If Tesla's cost is 25 and Waymo's 36 and the rides are 40 cents, same thing. There's no way Waymo will be able to survive. Now let's talk about in the immediate beginning future. Well, if Waymo is currently only spending, you know, let's say a much higher number now because all the startup costs and whatnot, but let's say, they're only in it at 60 or 70 cents a mile. And Tesla comes in and that right away they're at 30 cents a mile. And Tesla is able to charge $2 and Waymo's able, has to come down to $2. Well, Tesla's just going to make a lot more money. So we could get into an Apple situation versus Android where, both companies can survive, but Waymo is surviving with way lower profits. Tesla is putting those profits back into the growth of the operation, and Waymo's not able to do that. Overall, in my analysis of business over the years, if let's say my water bottles, which were costing me, let's say 15 cents to make, it was, bottle and cap to get, I can't remember. Let's call it, yeah, probably 20 cents. Bottle and cap together, 20 cents. And if my competition was at 30 cents to make it, and you put a multiple of 5 on that to retail. So I'm going to be up there if I'm at 20 cents. What did I just say? I can't remember what I said. If I'm at 20 cents and they're at 30 cents and I'm a multiple of 5, I'm at a buck and they got to charge $1.50. They better have something that I don't have. But in the case of Tesla, I'm going to argue that right now Tesla already has things that Waymo doesn't have, which is, in other words, Waymo is ugly and Teslas are beautiful. And Waymo's interiors are okay, but they're not space age. Tesla's interiors are beautiful. Waymo does not have all the creature comforts and fun things that Tesla's going to be able to do. It's going to be a big difference. When Cybercab comes out, it's going to be purpose built. Then the mileage, I believe, will go up. I believe the 200,000, 300,000 is possible. That's going to make a big difference, as well as the cost per mile dropping dramatically, because now you're talking about a $15,000 vehicle instead of a $25,000 cost. So that's going to also impact the ability of Waymo to compete. So I think the problem that Waymo's going to have here, Gary, I'm sorry, but he's willing to be out there. He's willing to be out there going, yeah, yeah, yeah. There are going to be all kinds of people that are going to be competing with Tesla. The problem that these other people are going to have is Tesla has the compute. Tesla has the data center. Tesla has the infrastructure. Tesla has a better customer experience already, and it's going to get better with Cybercab. And Tesla has a dramatic cost advantage. If you have all those things, now, Gary or others might argue, well, they've got a first mover advantage, but Tesla has Elon Musk with over 200 million followers on X, and there's 8 million Tesla users around the world who are going to be more inclined to use Tesla and their families. That's 8 million cars. It's going to be 9 million, then it's going to be 10. Those people are all going to be more inclined to use Tesla when they need a ride-hail facility. Anyway, that's my take. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say, but I think that the 25 cents a mile long term, sorry, Cathie and Elon, I'm going to go with 25 cents. I think that's going to be fine. I think it's going to be industry leading by a lot, and I think that number will work for the next 10 years. We can use that number for the next 10 years. When you're doing your analysis, when you're trying to make your comparisons, I'm saying we go with 25 cents. What do you know? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And later today, we will have the regular news. Then after that, we will have something, I believe it might be a special. Yeah, very special. At 7:45, and then some kind of stuff tomorrow too. I've got some ideas, by the way, of things I want to do. So we'll look forward to being with you through all of that and reporting on all of this wild news at around 5 o'clock tonight. This is Randy Kirk. Please do Patreon. Please hit like, subscribe, notify, and it's been great talking to you.